What's up, everybody, and welcome to another nootropics video on the Cortex Nootropics podcast. I'm freaking out because, I say this in my head to myself about certain compounds. Why aren't people freaking out about this compound? Aniracetam. Racetams have been a close second to me compared to some of my favorite smart drugs, like uridine, monophosphate, and CDB-choline as a combo. That's why we put it in the almighty Cortex nootropic stack, our commercial stack that's out there killing it right now, providing a lot of people with a lot of brain energy. And but I'm kind of like reassessing my position on the racetams. It's been quite a while since I've consistently taken racetams or taken racetams experimentally and then proceeded to go and do some work. And this morning I took a regular dose. Regular dose for me is somewhere around the 450 to 700 milligram range of aniracetam. And I gotta say, man, I got a lot done today. I've been super productive. My brain is just working awesomely, in combination with a nice large grande cup of iced coffee this morning. My brain is just in a wonderful place. So I want to talk a little bit about why aniracetam is underrated, some of the mechanisms of aniracetam, where you can get aniracetam, and some other stuff for people that are new to nootropics and want to thinking about aniracetam, and just because I'm excited about how it's affecting me, how it's been affecting me lately. So aniracetam works on it's a multifactorial smart drug, which is really cool. Works on a bunch of different things. AMPA receptors. AMPA receptors are a subtype of glutamate receptors in a way that's stimulatory. That's a positive modulator of those AMPA receptors. So it's a stimulatory nootropic in that regard. They also make some modulations to acetylcholine receptors, increasing the sort of signal strength through acetylcholine receptors. They also use in the hippocampus. I don't know if they increase the concentration of, but they certainly utilize more acetylcholine, this neurotransmitter, in the hippocampus. And that's probably what's responsible for some of the benefits, the memory I/O benefits, which is the idea of being able to retrieve information from your memory and being able to store more information in your memory. That's one of the things that I noticed with aniracetam. So let's talk about that, the memory I/O. Smart drugs, the idea of smart drugs makes one think that the brain is going to work better in a way that actually makes you seem smarter or makes you smarter. And when you apply that state to a particular task, productivity task, or a task in which you've got to memorize a bunch of stuff, then hopefully that allows your brain to actually work better in that capacity. It's totally the case for me that whether I'm having a conversation with somebody, where I'm sitting at Starbucks looking around at things, like that, my brain literally feels smarter, that I have more access to information in my memory banks, that I can store more information, that generally my capacity to hold all of this stuff that's happening in life in my brain and sort of synthesize it all and then engage in a way that's fluent and effective out there in the world is better via aniracetam. So I'm an entrepreneur. I run 2 companies every day. I mean, that's all I really ever do. I have no life outside of running my companies, and so I'm like trying to start dating again and doing things. But my life as an entrepreneur is just massively more productive from taking aniracetam, particularly around the memory I/O benefits, and I also get verbal recall benefits. You know what I mean? And I think that's probably because I just don't have any kind of trouble accessing the words that I need to say, because I can go and retrieve words from my memory and form sentences a lot easier. Let's talk about the stimulatory effect. I think combined with some coffee, aniracetam is very powerful for just stimulating your brain to want to do work. Historically, and it's still the case now, in the first hour or so of an aniracetam dosage, it's harder for me to focus and sit down and do work, and it's much easier for me to multitask, which is cool, because sometimes multitasking, people talk about, oh, don't multitask, you're gonna ruin your productivity. Sometimes multitasking is actually quite useful when you've got a myriad of individual things you have to do that maybe take 10 or 15 minutes that you just want to knock them out. You just want to knock it out. So for the first hour, it's a little harder for me to focus when taking aniracetam, and I'd much rather multitask, which is totally cool, because that's a perfect time to get all that stuff that requires that you multitask out of the way. But after the first hour and that massive stimulatory effect is sort of starting to taper off, that's when the focus starts to come in for me. And now I just want to sit down and do stuff. Like, I'm going to edit this video here in a bit. I've got some admin stuff for one of my companies I'm going to do in a bit, and I want to focus on it. I have the urge to focus on it, and I have the capacity to focus on it. So alongside with the memory benefits and the memory retrieval benefits and the memory storage benefits and the working memory benefits and thus the creativity benefits, there's also the stimulatory working on some, a bunch of things at once, a kind of a multitasking benefit that I get from Aniracetam. Let's talk about dosages. I hate talking about dosages because people really are very shallow in their perspective on dosages. They're like, I actually hear people say, oh dude, yeah, 500 milligrams is useless. I see people in some of these, obviously amateurs in these nootropics forums that talk about like, oh man, yeah, 500 milligrams of Aniracetam is going to be useless, isn't going to do anything for you. 500 milligrams of Aniracetam lights me the fuck up, man. Incredible, incredible dosage. So really, I've actually heard people and talked to people who split their dosages up 150 milligrams 4 times a day, right? Think about that. I mean, that's under 1,000 milligrams. That is considered a low dosage, and people are taking it 4 different times a day in very, very low dosage, 150 milligrams, and still getting a massive benefit from it. So it really is going to depend on your brain, whether or not you take it with a choline source, whether or not you've got enough acetylcholine in your brain from taking cholinergics or eating a lot of eggs, or whatever your brain profile is. And I think probably a variety of other things, and mostly how optimized your baseline is. So I would say, if you're new to Aniracetam, start between 450 and 700 milligrams. The talk about taking it with a choline source that you might have heard on the web, for those of you who are new to nootropics, is warranted. Aniracetam particularly, and this has been demonstrated in some rat studies, and it's plausibly extrapolatable to humans. This is as far as we can go with determining how extrapolatable it is. It's just a theory, but makes a whole lot of sense. Uses up extra acetylcholine in the hippocampus of the brain, and that's probably why you've got extra memory benefits. It's like the Aniracetam is provoking an extra usage of the neurotransmitter acetylcholine, which is involved in memory. In the hippocampus. There's a study on this. I think Google something like 63% increase in utilization of acetylcholine in rat brain with combined Aniracetam and oxiracetam. If you really want to get a good idea of exactly the mechanisms at play here relating to choline. So some people need to take a choline source, CDP choline, alpha GPC, choline bitartrate at between 100 and 300 or 500 milligrams in order to provide the brain with the acetylcholine the Aniracetam will use doing its thing to optimize memory. And some people won't, like I've been taking Cortex for, I don't know, a year and some change now, and the combination of uridine and CDP choline together have a profound effect on the cholinergic system that probably, this is theory, so don't hold me to it, but probably myelinates axons and dendrites over time, increases phosphatidylcholine. That is not a theory, that's proven between the compounds CDP choline and uridine monophosphate, and otherwise optimizes the cholinergic system. I've been taking this for so long and getting a lot of productivity out of it that my brain's acetylcholine system is super optimized. I've eaten no eggs, I took no cholinergics this morning, I did not take a choline source, and I took the Aniracetam, and I'm rocking. 0 side effects, 0 racetam headaches, which is a headache that folks sometimes get taking Aniracetam if they don't have adequate stores of acetylcholine. That's the racetam burning up that acetylcholine and you not being able to commensurately replete it. So I'd say start from 450 milligrams, go up to 700 milligrams. If you don't get an effect, look at your choline sources first, dial them up or down appropriately, change sources appropriately, and then go up in the Aniracetam dosage to see, only after you've sort of eliminated the possibility that it's not enough choline or too much choline that's not allowing you to actually get an effect. And then of course, remember, this is the thing I have to emphasize, make sure you work on your baseline first, guys. That's so important. I don't think it's a good idea to expect nootropics to do a whole lot for you when you're hungover every day, especially that. If I'm hungover, nootropics don't start functioning correctly until after 2-3 hours after I take them, whereas normally 20-30 minutes later for most nootropic compounds, they're like kicking my butt. So you've got to optimize your baseline first. Where can you get Aniracetam? Anywhere. You can get Aniracetam from Powder City, no fill, bulksupplements.com. I actually don't think bulksupplements.com has Aniracetam. They're mostly natural compounds. You can get Aniracetam from Serotropic, I'm sure. You can get Aniracetam from Limitless Life Nootropics, a newer company, bulk powder nootropics company, and then I'm sure there's some other obscure, less popular places where you can get them, but I'd suggest going with those 3 sources. First, you can get them in capsules, 750 milligram capsules, or you can buy your own bulk powder and make capsules. I would suggest, really I don't have a preference, you know, frankly capsules is a lot easier for me. I hate making stuff, that's why we built a stack, and that's why like I like to just take the stack, you know, I mean it's easier. I'll pay more under other conditions, like if I was buying True Brain or Alpha Brain, both of which are pretty cool stacks, you know, then I'm perfectly okay with paying for the stack because I don't have to put anything together. And people have thought about this and done research and done beta testing to put together a stack that is applicable to a lot of other people. So that's where you can get Aniracetam. Lastly, I just want to say, it's super underrated. You know, I wonder why people aren't freaking out about it, because it's the memory benefits alone. And for me, the verbal fluency benefits as a result of just having a better access to my brain is just crazy. It really does define itself as a smart drug, in my opinion. Guys, gotta plug Cortex. If you've not tried the Cortex nootropic stack, this is our commercial stack that combines uridine, monophosphate, and CDP choline for an explosively powerful effect on both phosphatidylcholine, acetylcholine, and the dopaminergic system. If you want to get pumped and motivated to sit down and do work, Cortex is certainly your best bet. I mean, that's why we call Gen 1 Workhorse. Enter the coupon code STARTUPS to get a couple bucks off of our stack. We now expanded to Canada. We are selling the stack in the UK, and I know a lot of you have asked me about Poland and Australia, and I think Serbia. We're working on it. We're just trying to get shipping to a place where it's reasonable. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. Coming up on the podcast, we're probably going to get back into Aniracetam. We're probably going to do a podcast on Aniracetam, and that might be number 12. So look forward to that. But otherwise, check out the Cortex Nootropics podcast on iTunes. The videos, the audios converted to video are here on YouTube. You can check that out on our YouTube channel. And thanks a lot for watching. Is this light too bright over here? Oh, why did it turn again? Oh, hi, my name is Camera Stand. I'm gonna turn like a jerk.